Brainfeed's here in front of Wasted Space in Oshawa, Ontario, Canada to check out Mark Howitt's March of Freedom event. We had a chance to speak with Mark, and you'll check out that footage after this. What's going on, Mark?
Not too much, just everyone's starting to show up here now, so we're going to go in and have a good meeting soon at March of Freedom discussion and an open discussion too with members of the public in Oshawa here. Anybody can speak their concerns about what they see, ideas they have to make this place a better place to live and more open, honest place where the truth comes out instead of being hidden by those who are selected to rule the city, I guess you could say. So we're just here at Wasted Space. It's awesome that Matovich let us use the space here to do something like this. It is politically orientated and humanitarian orientated, so there's a lot of issues here that we're going to be discussing today, which is really good that we do have a space here that we can use for that. So good to see some people out, some familiar faces and some new ones, so that's good too. And can't wait to get this thing off the road. It's going to be starting soon. Information shall commence. So I want to thank everybody that's in this room for showing up today. I see some familiar faces and I see some new faces, which is really good to see. I came here last week and I networked with a few people and got to meet a few people while I was here in Oshawa, and it was a really good experience to kind of break the ice a little bit and see what's going on in Oshawa, to hear some of the concerns that people had here in Oshawa, and to meet some of the people that are actually trying to make a difference in this community, which is really good to see. As I said, familiar faces, new faces, it's all a good sign. I'm sure some of you guys don't know each other, but I'm sure that everybody in this room wants to learn about something or wants to work together, concerned about something, which is why you're here. And that's number one. You guys came into this room together in Oshawa today, and if you guys can meet each other and meet a new connection, meet somebody who's willing to help you on your own goals, with your own concerns, that's awesome. There's lots of resources that each individual has, which is really important to network with each other and utilize that so that you can build stronger movements and make a bigger difference, essentially, make it a more effective difference. My name is Mark Howitt. I'm on something called the March of Freedom, which is a reality show I'm documenting, and I'm traveling across Eastern Canada to hear the concerns of Canadian citizens in all the communities I go to, and essentially to meet people that are important in the community, that are willing to make a difference and already have some skill sets and resources available that might be able to share with others. In this room is a perfect example. There's probably lots of people in here that have certain issues that they're working at, certain goals. I know I spoke to a gentleman about fluoride. That's a concern in the Oshawa community, is getting the fluoride out of the drinking water. So that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this, is to kind of identify all the problems and then share it with other people that I meet along the way, share techniques or resources that I've learned to give to them in other communities so that it can help them achieve the goals to make a better community. So essentially what I'm doing is trying to identify the collective issues that are present in nearly all communities. And it's not just Canadian issues, it's also global issues. A lot of the problems I'm hearing don't just exist in one community. These problems exist all over the world, and they're still happening. So that means that the problems aren't being solved. There's something causing these problems to be solved. Like there's something holding them up in place, and it is affecting people all over the world, whether it be fluoride, genetically modified foods, political corruption, election scandals, money, inequality, poverty, war. There's all sorts of reasons why we have to be concerned today, in today's day and age. And essentially a lot of them are collective problems. They do exist in all communities. There is homeless issues in the larger communities. You don't find that in the smaller communities because they know each other. Everybody knows each other in the smaller communities, and when somebody's down and out, they usually help them out. But in a larger city, it's hard to do that because there's more people in the community. But it's great to see that there is people that are concerned and willing to fight for other people's rights and freedoms and liberties. I've met a lot of good people here in Oshawa, just randomly even, that are working for these goals. I know I've met Barry Dutton when I was here. Amazing person. He's been fighting for Oshawa's rights for quite some time now, and I knew of him before I came here, so it was really good to meet him in person, which was really awesome. I met Sammy actually at the Atria the one night. She was one of the organizers for March Against Monsanto. She was telling me she was involved with that. So it's good to see that there is people from all different areas in Oshawa working for different goals, and it's also good to see that most of you are aware of the problems, that you're not ignoring it and you're ready to take the next step and ready to work together to make a difference. One thing that makes it really hard to get the message out and to get the word out about what people are trying to do in the community to make it better is media. The news and the media do not cover stories that really are going to affect the population of Oshawa or any city in general. This whole time I've walked from Sudbury to North Bay to just north of Huntsville, where I had to take an ambulance ride to the hospital and get a bus ride to Barrie because my feet were pretty mangled. But this whole time, not one media sources came out to talk to me about what I'm doing or who I've talked to. So it's been a near media blackout. The only media that I've actually reached out to and contacted were independent media sources. I know Dan Dix for Press for Truth wants to set something up soon. There's a few other, like Toronto Truth Seekers, when I was in Toronto, they covered it. So there is independent media within certain communities that are willing to cover things like this, and they're pretty much the only ones that are doing it. The mainstream media does not want to cover these stories because they are being paid off by people that are in the government or in the community that have kosher jobs, that are the gatekeepers essentially. That's what I like to call them, gatekeepers, because they're the ones who control the gate, whether you can get in and out. And there is a wall in every community that's been built to keep people away from the truth and to keep people away from rising to power and making a difference in their community. And that's why it's so hard for people to have their voices heard these days. That's why when you do a protest, you'll still have the same problem occur the next day when you wake up in the morning. The problems don't go away. Sure, you'll get a little ad in the newspaper maybe here and there, but oftentimes you won't even get that. You won't even get the media coming out to support a cause. And whether it be you're trying to spread awareness about hunger in the community, where people aren't being fed and they have no place to sleep, even though there's empty buildings all over the community where these people could be housed for no cost, that's the problem. Cost. If it's not profitable, they won't do it. That's one thing I've learned, and it's a common concern from pretty much every Canadian I've talked to. If it's not profitable, these corporations, these companies, these businesses will not cover the story. And essentially, if you threaten their stability and their comfort zone, that's when they definitely will black you out and not cover your story. You'll also get smear campaigns against you where they'll use your name and target you and try to discredit your work. They'll try to discredit your name however they can, and that's something that's becoming more common. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the guy from We Are Change, but he had a bunch of child porn put on his computer, and it wasn't from him. He was definitely not doing that, but he checked an email and it downloaded all these files onto his computer, and then he got busted for it. And that guy was an activist. He was definitely an activist trying to make a difference in the community, and they set him up for that. So I'm seeing a lot of this, what you call truthers, or what some would call conspiracy theorists. That's a derogatory term that was created by the media to discredit anybody who's actually bringing forth solid, credible information to make a difference in the community and to make an impact whatsoever. So really what we're dealing with here are conspiracies, not conspiracy theories. They're conspiracy facts. You could do the information, you can look all this stuff up yourself, and you will find facts. You will not find theories, you will find facts. The reason why they call it theories is so that the people that are putting it out there will look like Mother Goose telling fairy tales. So that's what I've noticed. And it's really important to have your voice heard, because if you don't have your voice heard in your community, then what's the point? You're just walking around and you're listening to rules that are predetermined before you're even born that you have to follow, and if you don't follow and you go outside the norm, you get arrested, you get charged, and a lot of times people will call you names. They'll call you a freeloader, they'll call you, as I said, conspiracy theorist, a quack, a nut. They'll call you all these names just to make you look less credible than you actually are. And we all know that the information's out there. It's accessible. You can go into on the internet. You can check out a lot of good alternative media websites, and you'll get a ton of information about just how corrupt this world and our corporate and government systems have actually become. They've become overridden by cancerous growths, I would say, where they're allowing crimes to happen, and these crimes are not being punished. Nobody is being held accountable for these crimes, and they're clearly crimes against humanity. They're clearly crimes against the communities that they happen in, and these people are getting away with it. And you might ask yourself, why are these people getting away with these crimes? What could it be that they're doing that they can get away with causing harm to other people, or certain things like that? And what that is it's the whole secret shadow government, as some people call it. It's not even a secret shadow government. It happens in every community. But if you're going to go against the grain, and you're a political leader, let's just say, within a community, or you're head of a corporation, and you're going to go against the grain, they will take you and they will charge you. They will throw you in jail. They will destroy your person. They will use the media to attack your character and build a smear campaign against you. And you see these techniques being used by CSIS, by CIA, by the FBI, by the NSA, by all these groups and organizations that exist that get funding from the government every year, and taxpayer dollars also pay for a lot of these programs. So we're paying for these people to do this to us, essentially. When you go and buy goods in the store, when you go and pay your taxes, when you go pay your insurance on your car, all this money here is going into a system that's not benefiting humanity. It's not sustainable, and the way they've designed the economy and a lot of these systems that are there to control us, they're designed to collapse, which is one thing I'm noticing. They've been designed to collapse, which is why people are wondering why the cost of a loaf of bread is almost $3 now. Gasoline is going up, cell phone bills are going up, rent is going up. All these costs of living are going up every day. And why? Why is it going up? Because it's predetermined to collapse. Now, our wages aren't going up with our jobs. You could quit your job and get a better job, which is fine. All that stuff is happening. You could do that if you want. You could put a Band-Aid over the wound. But I decided not to. I decided to go right to the source and talk to people in as many communities as I can and try to figure out how we can make a difference, how we can work together and actually address these problems and be heard and make a difference. Because that's really what it's going to take. We're on a crash course right now, and when you're walking down a trail, you'll see the trail branch off into many directions. And right now we're at that fork in the road. There's no turning back. We're already there, and we have a choice to make. We can keep going and let this stuff get worse, and it will affect our children's lives and their grandchildren's lives, just like it affected our parents. Our parents told us to go get a job from 9 to 5, go to school, get your education. They taught us to be programmed to become obedient slaves, essentially, to a system that who's getting rich? The people on the top of the pyramid are the ones getting rich, and it's all us workers and the people that are contributing to the society that's supporting that pyramid. That's keeping that up. And all the money is going to the top, and they're the ones that are actually making a profit, while people like us that are common workers essentially are making just enough to survive, if that. And I've talked to a lot of people that have to have 2 jobs. They have children and they have 2 jobs. Daycare bills are definitely rising. If you have children nowadays and you want to go to work, you're going to need somebody to take care of your child when you go to work. So all these costs of living are rising, and essentially we've been brought up in a world that was designed before we were even born here, by the way. So we have no choice in this. We have no say in this. From birth, our parents sign a document. It's called the birth certificate, and they sign you over right from birth. You don't even know what language you speak yet, and you're being forced into a system to get a job. And if you don't, then you don't have access to health care, all the benefits of being a human in a society, essentially. So what we're looking at here is we're being raised and programmed to think that this is all okay, to think that it's okay to walk by somebody on the streets who's homeless and suffering and has no place to go, and he's damaging himself or her. We're taught, we're not taught anyways, but it's becoming common where people just walk by and not say anything to the person and not ask them why they're there. They don't want to identify the problems. They know they're there and they ignore them. So what I'm trying to do is identify the problems so that people know about the problems and maybe have an opportunity to fix that on a local level. So with the money thing, if you think about it, when you go to work and you're working your job, the things you're paying for are the things you need to live as a human being on this earth to survive. Because if you don't survive, you're dead. So that's why they call it making a living. Because when you're making a living, you're actually alive. And what these corporations are doing is they're making a killing. Really is what they're doing. They're making a killing off all of us because we're suffering. I'm not saying all of us in this room are suffering or are down and out, that we can't get by to survive on a financial income. But most people I've talked to, and I would say this is about 80 or 90% of the people I talk to, they have good jobs. They're making $30,000 a year income. So they have a decent job, but are they getting anywhere? No. They don't have any extra money at the end of the month. They can't save up. Our savings are being stolen. So that's what's happening here. Now the things we need to survive: food, water, shelter, communication, transportation. All these things are the necessities of human life in a modern world. And when we go to work, our paycheck goes to pay for those things. So we're working to keep ourselves alive. Now if you think about that, you might think, that's just the way it is, that's just life. But imagine for a moment a world where you are actually free to be who you want to be in this world, and it's not going to put you in debt, and you're not fighting to survive every day of your life. It's called a struggle to survive, and that's what everybody's going through. The money that we make from our jobs goes to rent, food, hydro, cell phone bill, water, all the things that we need to survive. And when I look at this, I think there's something really wrong with that picture. I really do. Like, I have 2 children, and it's a really sad reality when I have to realize that when they get older, they're going to have to pay for the things they need to survive. Because if they don't, they will die. And that's a concern of mine. I think that we should live in a world where the things we need to survive as human beings that are essential to us for our survival and our nutritional needs, are just to have a healthy mind, you know? All these things, if we didn't have to pay for that, I think we'd be in a lot better of a spot where we would have the freedom to go take a vacation to Florida one day. You worked hard for it. You're a factory worker. You build cars. You do what you contribute to the society. You should be rewarded for that. You know what I mean? We should be rewarded for what we have. But again, it's not profitable. If you can't put a money number on it, they're not going to do it. They ignore it entirely. And that's a big problem here. Is they're ignoring the concerns of people over money. And money is just a piece of paper. And in fact, in the American bill, you find occult symbolism on the back of it. You find the all-seeing eye of the Illuminati. You see the Freemason symbols all over the bills and stuff like that. And people are just now wondering, whoa, that's pretty crazy. Like, this is this symbol is on the local Mason lodge right above the door. Why is it like that? So people are starting to piece all the pieces together. They're making that puzzle in their mind, and they're forming the bigger picture here. And people are not stupid anymore. I mean, sure, a long time ago, our parents were taught not to question anything. That's just the way it is. But our era and our generation are questioning things. We are putting our foot down and saying, no, that's not right. And we're sticking up for each other, which is really good to see. Because if we didn't have that, we would just be a bunch of mindless slaves walking around without any concern for anybody, and we would actually essentially be living in a world of contagious apathy. And there is some out there who have the contagion in them. They're hateful, they don't care about other people, they're happy the way it is. As long as they have their paycheck, as long as they have a roof over their head and they're fed, they could care less about the person who's struggling in the streets. And that's what we're seeing here. We're seeing a massive division about psychology. Really is what it is. It's basic psychology. Now, if you were to go to your doctor and you say, yeah, I see a guy on the side of the road and he's homeless and I don't care about him, you know, I'm glad to see him on the ground like that, what do you think would happen? I think the doctor would say you're crazy, you're psychotic, and try to give you some sort of medication to fix that problem. So, but this is a common problem. There's a lot of people that do think like that. They do have hatred in their hearts. They do have this fear inside of them that they grew up with because it was instilled at them from a young age. And when you go to school, daycare, all these things when you're a kid, they train you to go to a 9-to-5 job when you're older. They want you to be obedient. They want you to go to work. When you don't work, you get off the system. They'll call you lazy. They'll call you a bottom feeder. They'll call you all this stuff. But really, people need motivation to go to work. And when they know that they're going to get a job that's not going to cover the bills, just the basic needs for survival, it makes it harder for them to want to go to work. And that's one thing that I've noticed with the people that I have talked to that are homeless. They just say the system's so messed, I can't get involved with it because I've tried and I've ended up in the ditch every time. So you also have people that are homeless, I will admit, that want to be there. They do it to themselves. They're drug addicts, they're alcoholics, they don't care to change their own life, which is their own choice. That's fine. But there could be a better world. That's all I know. There could be a better world, and I think that we have come to a point in humanity where we should be trying to reach for that new life. We should be trying to better ourselves and evolve. Because if we stay in the same spot and we're chasing our tail around all the time, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again but expecting different results. And I don't think that we're insane here. I think that we are trying new things, but there's a wall that's been put up that's blocking us from actually making a difference. And then they call us crazy. And then they'll throw you in the loony bin and get you on medication. And that's another big concern I've heard from a lot of people is the healthcare industry, the medical industry. They're too easy to give you a pill. They're too quick to give you a prescription, which is just going to make you even worse. It's going to make you more depressed. It's going to have side effects, which aren't actually side effects. They're actual effects from the drugs. And I've learned about several natural cures out there, several that grow from earth. They're plants, they're herbs. They've been used for a long time from native cultures, from ancient cultures that have been using and healing their people for centuries using these same methods. But the corporations and the pharmaceutical industries don't want this to get out because first, they can't patent it. They can't put a patent on anything from nature because it's illegal. You can't do that. So what they've done is they've taken that herb or that plant and they mix it with chemical base and then they put a patent on it and then they're able to get it out to the people. And usually the chemicals they're putting in it make you worse. Those are what's giving you the side effects. So the pharmaceutical industry is getting rich. It's a sick care system essentially. They'll only profit if you're sick. If you're better and you're curing yourself, you're not a customer anymore. And they don't want that. They want their customers to keep coming in, so they'll make you sick by putting toxins in the food, carcinogens in the air. They'll put carcinogens in the food, in the water as well. Pretty much every community in Canada is fluoridated, has fluoridated water in it. And if you have done any little bit of research on water fluoridation or hydrosilicic fluoric acid, you'll find that that's not good for your body. I mean, it's not meant to be inside of you. You're not meant to be ingesting it. It's not meant to be calcifying your pineal gland. You shouldn't even have that in your system. It's actually labeled as a toxic waste. So if you look at the list of toxic waste, you'll find fluoride right on there, and then yet we're expected to drink this and not say anything and not protest and not come up with petitions and try to get rid of it from our local community. I mean, I think the people that are actually working to get rid of this stuff and to address these problems are the most caring individuals in the community because they're doing it selflessly. They're doing it to help everybody, not just themselves. And that's really important, is thinking about others and not only yourself, which is why I've done this, is to try to meet as many people and have their voices heard as well. And it's been really effective to actually get people up on the stage to hear their concerns, and I've seen relationships grow in a day. Just as soon as I show up, there's people that never met each other before, and next thing you know, they're talking about things and they're exchanging emails, and then they're working together on the local level, and then you got a team. You got skill sets. You got all sorts of different skill sets being used and thrown into the mix, and then you get a movement, and then you get changes on a local level, and that's what it takes. I mean, I do know that some of the larger cities have conflict between the local activist groups, the people that are trying to do this. There's definitely a lot of conflict where people don't get along, where people are they don't agree with one person's methods, or they don't like this person because of something they did in their past. Stuff like that is going to cause divisions, and it's really going to affect your movement. If you are trying to get rid of fluoride, and there's several people in the community that are trying to do the same thing, you should definitely be working with these people. You should definitely get together, meet each other, have a meeting once a month, do whatever you can, but make sure that fluoride gets out of the water, you know what I mean? Make sure that GMOs are addressed, and you're going to your supermarkets and letting the people that run those supermarkets, the owners, let them know what the health effects are when you eat GMO consumption. There's a reason why GMOs are banned in most countries in Europe and the rest of the world. Even Israel just got rid of their fluoridation campaign. So all these countries now are waking up to the truth, and they're getting rid of their water, or they're getting rid of the fluoride, they're getting rid of the GMOs. They're actually concerned about the people and their health. But here in North America, and Canada especially, and the United States, we don't have that. So a lot of people from these other countries move to Canada, move to the United States for essentially a taste of freedom, what we call the American dream, Canadian dream. They escape their countries from the wars that are happening there, or because of a ruthless dictator. There's all sorts of different reasons why people are fleeing their countries and coming over here to North America, and they're actually in their countries it's even a lot better when it comes to the health and stuff like that, because their whole community is not designed to suck money out of you. Now, everything that's ever been built in this community, you can walk down the business sector downtown, every place is a store. It's meant to take your money. It's meant to take your money wherever you go. That's what it's designed for. And a lot of these companies, there's no limitations. They will go as far as they can. Look at Nestle. Look at the guy who owns Nestle and what he's been saying. You know what I mean? That right there is a criminal in my eyes. For somebody to say that water shouldn't be a human right, that it should be a privilege, and that we should pay for drinking water. Our bodies are made of huge percentages of water. I think our brain is 80%, our skin cells 70%. Like, there's different percentages for how much water each part of your body is made of. And when your body is made of nearly entirely water, and you have to pay for that, or you have to drink poisoned water, there's something wrong there. That's worth questioning, and I'm glad there's people in Oshawa that are questioning this stuff and actually trying to make a difference. And I know you guys, I know some of you guys know each other, and it would be really great after this meeting if you guys could introduce each other, on your afterwards, and just see what skills people have and see what they're interested in. And you never know what's going to happen. Like, if you don't try, nothing's going to happen. You know, that's the bottom line. You got to get up, you got to get off your computer desk, and you got to go meet people, and you got to do things in the community. You can't just be sitting on Facebook all day posting about the news. You got to be doing stuff. You got to be getting active. You got to be bullhorning City Hall, and you got to be at Monsanto marches. You know, you got to be doing it. And when you're gonna create a positive change in the community, I don't think there's anybody you really need to ask permission for to do that. I don't think permission needs to be granted by anybody, and anybody who is going to grant you permission to do something, they shouldn't be looked up to. They shouldn't be looked up to in the first place. You should be looking within yourself, because we all have our own skill sets, and it's my decision to take a step to the left or the right. It doesn't matter, you know. It's all our own decisions. We make our own decisions, and we always have our whole life, and that's what it takes. You just got to make the decision and take the step and go in that direction, and you will succeed. If you put your mind to it, you will succeed, especially if there's a whole bunch of other people around you supporting what you're doing, and you're supporting what they're doing, and you collectively come together as one unit and you work towards your goals. That's what I've noticed has worked effective in nearly all communities. I interviewed Peter Van Callart, who's the Vice President of Canadians Opposing Fluoridation. He's actually been the one responsible for getting rid of the fluoride levels in Windsor and just north of Barrie. There's a lot of cities that he's went to himself, talked to city council, told them how expensive it is to bring this stuff in from Florida, the aluminum waste, the toxic waste that they're bringing up here and putting in our drinking water. He explains to City Hall and the City Council about the pros and cons, and it's mostly cons, obviously, with fluoride. But he used to teach people how to put fluoride in the water. He was actually working at the water treatment centers and training students to go in to the water treatment center and put fluoride in, and he was doing it all by the books. And then one of his students came in one day and gave him some films and said, "Here you go. You know how bad fluoride is for the human body." And he didn't believe it because he was a teacher teaching people how to do this stuff to the water. So he went home and he watched the videos, and the next thing you know, he comes to school the next day and he was a totally different person. It changed his viewpoint, and that was a professor, that was a teacher. So if we could do that by educating each other, and that's how easy it is, then I think that it goes to show how much education is important, and keeping each other informed and aware of what's going on. So Peter Van Callert is actually a really good example of that, how somebody who's an insider, who's putting the wall up, who's training people how to abide by the system, all of a sudden can be changed, and now he's going around Canada telling people how bad fluoride is, and actually he's working directly with people in the communities who want to get rid of fluoride. So cof-cof.ca, Canadians Opposing Fluoride, and then it's the French version as well, .ca. If you check out that website, I would suggest getting in touch with Peter if you guys want him to come here and help get rid of the fluoride from Oshawa, because he's up in my hometown right now, Florida. We have a campaign going on, not Florida, Sudbury, sorry. But yeah, he just came to Sudbury when I interviewed him, and he told us all the do's and don'ts on how to get rid of fluoride, because there is don'ts and there is do's. You can put a big protest in front of City Hall all you want, and they're just going to get mad at you. They're going to write bad about you in the newspaper. There's a lot of things that will not happen if you do that. And he's showed me the statistics. The people that protested to get fluoride out of the water, 0% effective rate. So that shows that you have to do it from the inside. You have to get a group of people together, get somebody who's a speaker who can go and talk to city council, and you have to kind of do it from the inside. And I know you guys all understand that there is a wall that exists with city council, which is going to make it really hard to do. But there's guys out there like Peter Van Callert who are willing to come to your community and help you guys get rid of it, because that's really important. We need to work together, and he understands this, and he will do what he can to try to get it out however means possible. There's also all sorts of other issues politically, corruption going on. The list goes on when it comes to that. So a lot of people nowadays, especially in our generation, don't vote anymore. They don't believe that it's effective. They don't believe it's going to make a difference, especially when you have guys like Stephen Harper stealing elections, like the last one, or you've got George Bush doing it. I don't know how Barack Obama got signed on for a second term, but he did it too. So there's all this corruption going on with the voting system, and it's making people not trust what's going on, right? But there is solutions to that. You could vote for the lesser parties, just to make sure that you're taking the power away from the conservatives, liberals, whoever you don't want to be in there. You could vote for just any random small party, just to like balance it off, I guess, and give them your power. Or you could X out your ballot. There's that option too. But I think the most important thing we could do is talk about this and address it, and actually go to the news, go to your friends, have meetings like this once a month in your community. I started a group called the World Public Union, and that's what we've been doing up in Sudbury. Is we have local meetings like this, and we all have different skill sets. We all come in, and then we write down a to-do list. This is what we could do this month. This is what we could do that month, and then we try to achieve those goals. We do garbage cleans along the riverbanks, because the city doesn't do that. There's all sorts of things you could do in your community to help out, which is really awesome when you do it on a public level, because it shows people that, okay, there is a group of people in the community that do care about what's going on in the world. They do want to make a difference in the world, and they're trying as hard as they can to do so. And then there's also the people that will talk about it, and they'll complain about it, but they don't do anything about it. So I think actions speak louder than words, and your actions today brought you here to learn some information and to hear about the March of Freedom, and to meet other people in your community that have like-minded concerns, which is really effective. It's very powerful to just even have a meeting once a month. I don't know if you guys have local activist groups here. Yeah? There's names. You guys got names for them and all that?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, yeah, that's good to hear. So yeah, that's an awesome thing to hear, that there is already activist groups in Oshawa working to better the community, and I'm sure also attacking global issues, also trying to address global issues as well, because a lot of the problems we are facing are global issues. It's not just Oshawa that's going through that, it's communities all over the world. So it's really important that we do work together however we can to try to make a difference. And I walk through Oshawa to try to meet with people and try to learn from you guys, learn about Oshawa, learn about new ideas that I can teach others to help them out. And that's what I'm trying to do here, is hand off the information that I've learned and that I know to you guys, so that anybody who might not understand the problems or might want to find a place to look for this kind of information or look for options to solve the problems, they'll have an access to that information. And I think that all starts with you guys, because you know some groups. I mean, I know there's people here that are organized already, and they're already working hard to do what they can, and that's awesome. That's a good sign. That's what it takes. Knowing is half the battle, and the other half is doing. Exactly. So I'm going to open up the floor, because I know there's other people here that have concerns or they'd like to say some things. Even if you have a group that you want other people to know about, links, anything like that, I'm going to open up the floor, because this is for a public discussion, really. Like, if anybody has anything to teach me or to talk about or to teach others, I definitely love learning. So I'd love to learn from you guys. If you guys would like to, if anybody would like to come up here. I know Barry actually wanted to come up and say something. So Barry Dutton is a good guy. Anybody who doesn't know him in Oshawa who wants to know about some of these problems, I know he's educated, he knows a lot of things, and he's not afraid to speak his mind, and he's definitely not afraid to get the truth out to the people. So if you want to come up, it'd be awesome to hear from you, man. Cool.
That's a hard act to follow, right? Doesn't get much more truthful than that. Shut your mouth and pay your taxes and do as we say. Right? That's what we've been conditioned to believe. And although this meeting might be happening in Oshawa tonight, it's, you know, my friend Walter here from Brainfeed.ca is taping this. And he's got like, what, 10 trillion hits on your YouTube channel now?
No, not yet.
Approaching that?
Approaching it.
Yeah. It's going on in every city, wherever you're at. So I was born and raised in Oshawa, and I care about this city. I know most of the people in here, and I'm glad that you guys all came out. I ran for city council for Oshawa in 2010 because I got sick and fed up of them doing stuff to regular people that they shouldn't be getting away with. And our apathy in Oshawa is giving everybody a license to do whatever they want with our tax money and poison us and steal our civil liberties and ban us from City Hall with undue process and no due diligence. I'm the only guy that I'm aware of that's been banned from City Hall twice for standing up for the residents. I think I was the only guy banned at all ever. And then I release a video on my YouTube channel, and then they ban me the next day. And then the next year, I release a video, and they ban me the next day. So there's a pattern. But that shows that these things work. When this video gets out and other people see it in your community, wherever you're at, I've said it before in all my activism or bullhorning City Hall or whatever's going on. It's going on in your city wherever you're watching, in the US and in Canada and in other countries. They just want you to be quiet. They want you to they're going to use the apathy against us because we're not uniting. We're not showing each other kindness. There's too much division. There's people that are spreading untruths and bold-faced lies in the activist community, and it's dividing us. I mean, divide and conquer. How old is that? Is that the world's second oldest profession? Probably. But you know what? If you're not willing to stand up to the people that are trying to take down your communities, then, you know, I hate to say it, but we get what we deserve. In Oshawa, for the 2010 election, there was a 31% municipal turnout rate. That's not good enough. Where's the other 70%? And the question is, why aren't they engaged? They're too busy working lower paying jobs, and the middle class is being eviscerated or destroyed, and they love it. Because the apathy is being used to control our cities and our towns. People are working 2 or 3 jobs for $10 or $11 an hour. There's too much month left over at the end of their money. You know, I've been a labor supporter. We got a brother from the CAW in here tonight, and they ratified a contract and they put a 10-year freeze on wages. They've got 3 or 4 tiers of wages, and the auto workers are some of the people that have helped build this country. They've built rinks for kids that people don't know about. Some of these labor unions that are being destroyed, they have built the fabric of this nation. And in the US, they built the fabric of the nation wherever you're at. And that's what they want you to do. They want you to bury your heads in the sand. They want division and lies between the activists that are trying to actually get things done. And that's not right. We were called to look after one another, and we were called to stand up for one another, and there's too much of the opposite going on in every town, every city, wherever you're at today. This happens to be in Oshawa today. And there's, like, for example, the next chance in Ontario, or Durham region, which is where we're at, the next chance we get to make a real difference starts January, 6 months from now, when the Oshawa municipal elections will start. And that's October 27th of 2014 is the final election day. You've got advanced that's the next chance you have, Oshawa residents in Durham, to make a difference wherever you're at. And stop some of the jackassery that's going on in city halls. And stop the lies. And stop the corruption. Like, that happens to be a sign that I made, and it's going on in every city. So, corruption at, insert the name of your town, City Hall, because you know what's going on.
How many hours is on that sign, Barry?
Well, that's my friend Kurt, who faithfully stood with me as many days as he could, and we stood in front of Oshawa City Hall every day for 30 days in a row, 5 days a week. Took weekends off. Holding up the sign, you got to give your lats time to recover. But we stood out there every day from 2 till 3:30, and then we're at basically now once a week protests or as required. And there are people at City Hall that do not like it, and there are some people at City Hall that quietly have come to me, very quietly, because they're scared for their jobs, and said, you know what, we support what you're doing, please keep doing it, keep the pressure on. There's people that are watching, and we have identified several groups within our city, just like you would identify in your city, several groups that support what we're doing because they know that it's going on. But they're too busy working 3 jobs for minimum wage, or single parents, soccer moms. They're too tired at the end of the day to plug in and tune in. And that's what they want. They want you to have this defeatist, worn out, tired, backstabbing attitude so that nothing gets done and the pyramid scam just continues. It's all a pyramid scam. That's all that it is. And people that run for City Hall in your town or in Oshawa, right, that know the truth, I mean, I'm not going to preach a sermon, but the Bible says you shall know the truth and it shall set you free. And if you look at the way that that's worded, whether you believe in God or whether you don't believe in God, the fact of the matter is that's covenant language. It doesn't say it might set you free. It says it will set you free, and that's a promise. The problem is that we're all fighting one another, and there's no kindness. We're called to look after one another and steward this planet. Like, I don't know where you're watching, but what other planet do we have? Do we have another planet? Because I don't think we have a backup plan. I don't think we have a contingency planet, and I don't think we're doing a good job of looking after our planet or our environment, our resources. And, you know, I don't have kids, but if I did, what kind of legacy would I be leaving them? What are we leaving the next generation? Nothing but a pile of debt, fluoride in our water, neurotoxins in our environment, divisions among activists that actually know the truth. It is unacceptable. So in Oshawa area, well, for example, you get a chance next year to make a difference. You get a chance to kick these corrupt bastards out. And it's just that simple. It's a hard act to follow a guy like that. And I'm honored that I would be asked to speak at an event like this, because I know 2 things are going to happen. Some people out there are going to watch this and say, yeah, man, that Mark guy knows what he's talking about, and these truths are self-evident. There's a reason why that's written in, you know, U.S. language and politics. It's true. These truths are self-evident. They don't want you to know the truth. And they don't want people elected that will run the corruption out of City Hall and stand up to them, because you know what? I don't want to touch a nerve. Well, look what happened to JFK. Mark said everything that we need to say. There are targets on the backs of activists. And you know what? Some of the activists are putting the targets on our own backs. By spreading lies and malicious rumors about one another, it's not going to work. It just keeps the corrupt people in power. You get a chance in Oshawa area or Durham region or Toronto in 2014 to elect some fighters and elect some people that are truthers. People that don't have mental incapacities, right? Incapacities are labels that a lot of truthers like to put on one another when somebody's getting too much traction on an issue, or the visibility's too high, or somebody's jealous of something, or you owe somebody at City Hall something, and there's a bunch of political suck-ups taking your tax money and using it against you to keep you sick and weak and defeated. The middle class is shrinking, and we're paying the freight. It's true I sell real estate, and maybe some people think like, yeah, that's not very blue collar. But you know what? It is. It is if you remain true to yourself and you seek the truth. And we are called to look after one another. It's not an option. And we're not doing a very good job, and we are failing. It is that simple. And some people don't want to hear these things, and I'm sorry. But it is a fact of the matter. In Oshawa, you get a chance in 2014 to make changes and elect some people that will fight for your rights and are sick of the crap that City Hall is throwing at you. And if it sounds like I'm laser focused on Oshawa, it's because I am. I can't fight every battle. I can't fight everybody in this room that are spreading untruths about one another. But you know what? I will fight for you, and I do care about you. And it's just that simple. And I don't want to put anybody on the spot. I'm going to end my, however long I spoke, I tend to be wordy. I'm going to end it there. Thank God for the middle class, because everybody that wants the middle class gone are the people that are taking your tax dollars and using it against you to annihilate your political free will. And they're doing a good job. And I want my friend Kurt to come and speak. It's a simple fact of the matter. You have to come. Your voice needs to be heard, and you know it. His accent is a little different. He's a newfie, and we love him. So
Thanks for not putting me on the spot there, Barry.
Thanks. I'm glad that I was able to be of assistance.
Well, I really got not much to add to that, other than the fact that I left Newfoundland to come here with hopes and dreams of a better future. And I'm not seeing that. I mean, Oshawa is about as low-key as you can get. There's nothing here for young people. There's nothing here for new graduates. I just graduated Durham College. It's friggin' tough. There's no way to find a job. There's people that are being paid $500,000 a year to create jobs in this friggin' town. And they're not doing it. They call in consultants to help them do it while they're out playing golf. The city, this friggin' community is paying for that. Like the fluoride, we're paying for that. We're paying for their poison. We're buying it off of them. Like, if that's not the silliest thing ever. Like, I mean, why are we not saying, we don't want to buy your crap anymore, you know? And, I mean, here in this town now, we got 2 helicopters over our head every night. Every night. Up above my house, looking down at me. I'm growing tomato plants, man. I've done my time in jail for cultivation of other substances. Not going back at it. But they're over my house. They got an APC now at Durham Regional Police Department. Is a big friggin' armored tank, a personnel carrier with a mountable turret on the top. What in the frig is that thing going to be used for? It's going to be used for ramming down people who stand up and say no more. That's what's going to be happening. They're going to keep fluoriding us. They're going to keep giving us friggin' fluoride in our... We go to the doctor and we say we're depressed. They hand out the pills faster than your local pot dealer, you know? It's crazy. There's nothing being done about it because everybody's asleep. And it's like Barry was saying, everybody's divided. Because everybody's saying, oh, this fellow said something about somebody 5 months ago and blah, blah, blah. So we can't listen to him because he's an idiot. Or this lady said such and she's against animal rights and I'm a strong advocate of hunting. So I can't be friends with her. But, you know, is so stupid. It's so stupid. We're getting divided by this stupid shit, and we got no one else to blame other than ourselves. I think we all got to stand together, and we all got to preach together and talk together and get our ideas together and get something moving. I got really nothing else to say on that. So thank you for your time.
Hey guys, my name's Sammy. As Mark said, I was one of the organizers for March Against Monsanto Oshawa. I'm also involved with Durham's Valaha movement, and for those of you who aren't familiar with that, what that is we're working towards a goal to not only have a small-scale resource-based economy as well as off-the-grid living, which pretty much involves like a small group of people getting together, and this is going to take like a long time to get this project together, where we're going to have just kind of like we'd be growing our own foods and living in earthships and that type of thing. And I think that with any individual cause, as well as like March Against Monsanto, the anti-fluoride movement, Barry already kind of touched on this issue where the activists will actually divide and turn against each other, which really is what the corporate elite want us to do. They want us to be nitpicking over these little issues that are insignificant, like, oh, they're going through the city hall where it's like, oh, this guy's yelling at the police. And like, that doesn't matter at the end of the day. What matters at the end of the day is everyone working together in a sense of community to actually take down the powers that everyone sees that are an issue. And I think too that no one actually truly knows how we can go about doing this, and that's okay, because like what Mark mentioned, we were brought up to just pretty much be slaves to the system. Like from birth we were signed over without any say in the matter, because I don't think anyone here wants to be participating in a system that leads to all these problems, like not just like on small scales but also on large scales. Like I think most people here know that the third world only exists because the first world exists. And no one actually wants to be the cause of global hunger that we're seeing in these massive scales, but we're forced to participate in this system. So I think like what everyone said is just coming together with a sense of community and a sense of togetherness, as well as love and compassion towards each other, rather than trying to blame each other on an individual scale as to why something didn't work out. It's hard with their notes. But yeah, like I just think that like what we need to do is be working together instead of working against each other. Like so many people, like it almost turns into a pissing contest as to like, oh, who's the bigger activist at the end of the day, who did more for this. Some people are in it just for their own recognition and to hear their own voices heard, as opposed to hearing the system, as opposed to just aiming for taking down the system and working together. But yeah, that's just about everything that I want to say.
I just wanted to say something really quick there, actually. It's an analogy I thought up one day during one of my research splurges when I was making one of my documentaries. The term sleeping. Everybody says, oh, this person's asleep, this person's asleep. Well, what happens after you wake up from sleep? You rise and you become active in your day. So that's what we need to do, is wake these people up and get them risen on their feet, give them the strength that they need and the encouragement. You know, you got to tell people, yeah, you're doing a good job, you're doing awesome, like keep that up. You know, you got to support each other, pat each other on the back and give each other that positive feeling. And then you'll get to the next step, which is pure, true activism. You will be active and you will get things done. And this I can assure you, I've seen it happen everywhere, and that the only time anybody's ever made a difference was by actually doing something. And if you look at all the people who were killed for trying to do something, JFK, RFK, Malcolm X, MLK, William Cooper, Michael Hastings, the list goes on and on and on of all these people who were trying to fight for our freedom and were killed under definitely curious circumstances, but it's pretty obvious who did it. It's very obvious who did it and who's trying to cover it up. Just look at all the witness deaths after John F. Kennedy, from the time that they did that to the time the Warren Commission did their investigation in the 70s. The death rate just spikes. Just witnesses, everybody killed off. Like, who's hiding that? They have to be government connected. They have to be running the system if they're going to be the ones doing that. So that's what's happening. You'll find it. I'm sure that Michael Hastings wasn't the last guy to be killed for trying to speak out against this. I mean, there's questions about Michael Jackson as well, who was about to leave on his world tour and tell everybody about the Illuminati and what he was learning about how the history books were lying to us. And then next thing you know, he got killed, I would say. He was murdered, in my opinion. There's a lot of people that just mysteriously die or go missing when they try to make a stand against this. And that's another thing, right? We gotta know the truth, and as Barry said, the truth will set us free. It's not it might set us free, but yeah, the absolute definite truth will set us free because it's the truth. You can't argue with it if you're pure at heart and you're being truthful and you're being honest. No darkness can destroy that. No amount of evil can destroy that.
Don't know that much to say after all that, but basically, yeah, the apathy is bringing us down. Like, I work for General Motors. I'm part of the labor industry. I am the middle class, and we are being attacked, and that's all there is to it. There's right-to-work legislation that's going on in the states that's pitting state against state and worker against worker, and it's moving up to Canada. Right-to-work legislation is moving into Canada. It's already happening in General Motors. There are two-tier wages. People are expected to work harder and longer for less money, which means that you can't support your family. It means people have to get other jobs, and your health is deteriorating. I started an anti-fluoride movement in Durham region, and I'm trying to get that stopped because, you know, that's the thing. If people are sidetracked by, you know, their health, they can't focus on the real issues at hand. People can't concentrate on the fact that, you know, our economic system is based on a fiat currency where, you know, interest rates are, you have to pay interest on money that doesn't exist. You know, like, these are systems that have been in place for years to keep us down, that we need to question and attack. And as long as we keep doing this and keep joining together and helping each other through the causes, then hopefully we can persevere. You know, truth will set us free, like everyone else said here, and so we just gotta wake the people up, stop the apathy, and fight.
Dan, let me ask you something. Since the wages are being driven down in the labor sector,
Yes.
and you're being forced, or people that you know are being forced to go out and find second jobs, do you feel that your bodies are recovered and that you're effective doing your job in the first place because of the austerity measures?
No, like, pretty much, like, there's, like I said, you know, people working, like, I actually trained a guy the other day who's what we call SWEEs, and they're temporary workers that GM brings in, and they pay them like a minimum of $10 less an hour than what they pay me. And these people don't get pensions, they don't get benefits. You know, if they have to go get pills for their children, they have to pay that full prescription price. You know, and these are things that, you know, people like in the labor movement alone have fought years for. Oshawa was built by the labor movement. The middle class in North America was built on the backs of laborers. You know, like, you know, we looked at the system. You know, we gave the system that they presented to us, and, you know, we just had to become part of it and do it, right? It's like, okay, this is what we have to do for our money, so we're working. Then we just kept fighting for more, you know, a little bigger piece of that pie, because the guys at the top, you know, they're making billions of dollars, you know, millions of dollars in bonuses, and you know, they're just taking that from us. Like, these people that come in as SWEEs, you know, they're not getting pensions. So if the company's already saving millions of dollars from not paying these people pensions, then why are they getting paid less money an hour to just do the same amount of work? It doesn't make sense. It's just because of the greed, corporate greed, you know, the banks' greed, just people in, you know, the politicians that take that little buyout, you know, take that bribe to let that legislation go through and, hurting millions of people. And this is what has to stop. We have to start help ourselves, help our community. If people take responsibility for what's going on in their own lives, then they will start helping the rest of everyone else. That's how I feel about it.
Thanks.
The floor is open.
Hi, my name is Monique. I've had a few thoughts over the time that I've been sitting here listening to everybody, and I'm going to try to put them all together to sort of come to a single point. You said something really important, I think, about sort of making change from the inside. And I started to think about that, and I started to think about the way that the system is and the people who are already in government, especially local governments like small city halls and things like that. And I started to wonder, I'm like, I wonder if anybody who was seeking truth or wanting to be a voice for people, who dedicated their lives to that, like Barry does and other people in this room, has ever made it into government. Have they ever made it into city halls? Has that ever happened in the history of the universe, or will this be the very first time? What's that? Rob Ford? Yeah, like what I'm saying is that I think that has happened. I think that has happened many times. I think that there are many people in local government who got into local government because they wanted to seek truth and because they wanted to make change and because they were passionate about it, And we're talking about people being asleep and needing to be awakened. I mean, like, there are some people who are just taking a nap because they're probably quite overwhelmed with the pressures. I mean, they're being controlled by the same system as everybody else. And I think that as soon as you get into a position in local government, your vulnerability to corruption raises significantly because you have all these pressures that you are exposed to regularly. You're much closer to that system that is the one that is seeking to have control like that. So I think that, something really powerful that we can do is not only come together as activists, not only support each other as activists and knock off this silly arguing and bantering nonsense, like also come together as, come together with the people who are already in power, in local politics. And I don't think that the way to do that is to yell and scream at them and tell them every way that they've ever been wrong. I think that we have to make those connections and reawaken that passion that was within them in the first place, the reason that they got there, right? Like we have to come at it with heart and with love and with some degree of understanding, not just to think that we have a different opinion and that, if they don't agree with us, then they're wrong. Well, I mean, you never convince somebody in a fight to agree with you by just yelling at them that they're wrong. You have to open up and make yourself vulnerable too and make those connections. That's all I want to say.
Hi everyone, I'm Adam.
Hi, Adam.
Hey, Adam.
I just moved to Oshawa, so I've been here for like 3.5 years. So I've been able to look at Oshawa from the outside and people have gone here and lived in it. So I can offer like another perception. And it is great that we're all here, and it's great that I'm taking the opportunity to share my voice because, to me, my happiness in my life is connected with everyone in my world. So to be happy, I have to see what happiness is. And to me, this is happiness. We're all like fellowship. And in terms of working together in a group. Cognitive diversity matters when assembling a group of well-informed people, and their collective wisdom will be smart and smarter than the extras. So if we are not very diverse people, none of us are alike, and none of us want to change each other. But if we coordinate together, we're going to get to the right solution that is needed. And like, it's easy to say that, I do have a disability, and I'm thankful that I do have a hearing aid now, that I can talk to people. And in the system, I'm on disability. That is all I'm going to become, just another disabled person getting a check. I'm not accomplishing anything. So like, I look at people who are in poverty, and I think, what's stopping them from being a doctor, or being an artist, or being someone wealthy, right? And like, people dehumanize each other, people who have addiction, like crackhead or whatever. Like, no, that's a human being. And it's society that has put them in that position. Maybe they could have been a doctor, or been an airline pilot, or a firefighter. So it's important that people are given the opportunity to say, okay, I want to do this, And in order to need to align myself to like heaven on earth, power that I may be to anyone else, I've decided to join a cooperative in downtown Oshawa that emphasizes community living through education and a marketplace. So you can go and get exposed to entrepreneurial skills, or learn some talent, or harvest the talents that you have already to innovate new ideas, and then have a marketplace where you can get exposed to. And I can't really read this too much, but on the weekends at the vault, do you guys know what the vault is? I know some people are there today, but the vault is beside the hub, right across from Dola. So on the weekends, I will host a knowledge cafe, which is about people coming together like this in groups and just discussing ideas and then coming together collectively, and this is what we have to do. And it can be like a fellowship. You listen to music, you play chess, because you can't lose the reality that we're all human beings. This is not fear, this is not terrorism, right? It's only like 1% or a fraction of percent of reality. This is the real reality, is love. And that's how the system can be influenced, is through civility. You can't lose sight of who you are. And Mark made a lot of good points about don't be voluntary to the system. Don't be a self-imposed slave. Just accept it. No, don't accept it. You're a human being. Be a human being. And we may not all like each other to the very highest nose. But I can say that I love all you in a unique way. But I don't love, I can't say I love not the same as I love Barry or I love Walter, but I all share love for you guys. So
Love you. Love you, Adam.
Yeah, love this
So I just want to share that and make myself known. I'm Adam. Hi. My eggs on popcorn. I apologize, but I'll obviously ignore it. Thank you.
Okay, my turn. My name's Walter. I'm the creator of Brainfeed, and you can check it out on YouTube as well. Brainfeed channel, Brainfeed.ca. And I think one of the most important things that I've been taught by my dad, and he tells me this almost every other time we chat, is that you can't change the world, but you can change yourself. And that's important because everyone goes around complaining about everyone else, but we don't look at ourselves in the mirror. We don't point our fingers at ourselves and say, what can I do better about myself? Well, how can I change myself? And the problem is that we're feeding ourselves garbage food, we're feeding ourselves garbage media and garbage information, and the government is feeding us garbage all the time, and we're busy pointing fingers at everyone else, trying to blame everyone else for our problems, instead of looking in the mirror and saying, okay, you know what, I'm going to take up responsibility, the world's a mess, everything's screwed up, but now it's my turn, I got to do something about it. And that's where a change will occur, like Mark was talking about. That's where we take the power back and internalize the power instead of externalizing power, because they've built this system in order to externalize the power. Everyone is looking out there for some sort of God or some alien or some sort of answer, some messiah, to come down and fix this problem, instead of us looking inwards and saying, hey, wait a second, the power's in here, it's been in here the whole time, and they don't want us to know that, and then we can evolve or do whatever, make a change based on that understanding. Now we know that we have the power, we've got something to do, so now we can externalize power, or internalize power, and make a change. On top of that, I think it's great that people are doing, like Mark, making films and documentaries and getting out there and spreading information. I think we need more pamphlets, more posters. We need to wake up these sleeping masses, because a lot of people don't really see the illusion yet. And I think that's one of the major problems as well, is that, yeah, we're here, most of us see the illusion. We see portions of the illusion, but we don't really see the whole extent, and other people don't even see any of the illusion. So if we can help them wake up and see a little bit of the illusion at least, and get them to start questioning stuff, quickly they'll see, wait a second, nothing adds up. Nothing, this whole system's a lie. It's all an illusion, right? And we all know that, but we have to get them to understand that and help them be patient with those people, because they're still stuck in the programming, the cycle of wake up, go to work, come back. Oh, Christmas. Oh, now it's Halloween. Oh, now it's, you know what I mean? They're stuck in this whole cycle of every year we're doing the same crap, instead of realizing, wait a second, there's something going on. You know what I mean? So once we realize there's something going on, and then we spread it out with pamphlets, we internalize the power, and then we talk, communicate, bring it all together, and then something's got to change. It's simple as that, right? So something will change, and that's my hopes, and I hope you guys will try to do something about it, because we can't do it all, I can't do it all, Barry can't do it all. People have to want it. People need to want this. And if they don't want it, then they're not going to get any of it. Simple as that. That's the way the elite look at it, is that it's like deserving. Do we deserve a better world? Well, if we put the effort in, then we will deserve a better world. But if we don't, well, then we're going to get what we get. So that's the way I look at it, and I think that's all I got to say right now. Thanks, Mark.
The big serving of truth.
Yeah.
Just right, like big truth sandwich.
Big serving of truth.
Truth mayo.
That's a good way to put it, indeed. But yeah, I don't know, anybody can come up here after, say whatever they want, no problem there. But again, I just want to thank everybody here for coming out and listening, and even speaking, because others will listen to your words, and that's what this medium was for not only for people to get a chance to speak, but also to listen, and also to show people how easy it is in their own community to just say, hey, let's next Wednesday meet up with a few people at this place. If there's only 5 people, who cares? It's 5 people working together. It starts small. It's like you said, right? You look inside and you do what you can, and then others will notice, and they're doing what they can, and then you got a big movement where it's like everybody's conscious of themselves, and they know that the power, they know they have the power in themselves, you know what I mean? And that's what a lot of people feel helpless. And that's the way the system is designed, is to make you feel helpless. They'll keep you down. And when there is a problem, and if you speak out against it, they'll give you They'll give you a little snack, you know what I mean? They'll give you a little snack just so you stop complaining, but they won't solve the problem. And what we gotta do is solve the problem. You can't be putting a Band-Aid over it and just wiping up the blood, because the cut's still there and it's still bleeding all over the place. And if you don't stop the bleeding, it will kill the victim. And that's what I don't want to see happening, and that's why I chose to leave my home. It's like you said, I was looking in the mirror one day and I had tears going down my eyes because of how messed this world was. And I was sitting there like, what am I gonna do? Like, I am going crazy here, like, and it's not me. I know I wasn't going crazy. I know I was perfectly sane. It's just I was looking outside and I was like, wow, look what's going on in this world. That is pure insanity. And I don't want to be living in a world of that, you know what I mean? I want to live in a world of sanity, where people are working together and there is love and there is compassion, there is positive vibrations. Everything is like risen, you know what I mean? Like, I want to feel that, and I'm starting to feel it. Like, since I left Sudbury till I got here, I've been instilled with a massive amount of hope, because I do see a lot of people in all the communities I've been to, no matter how big, no matter how small, there is people there that are giving me hope, that I can say that those people also have hope and they are working hard to make a better world. And we got to give each other credit here. Everybody that took time out of their day today to show up here and listen and learn and to speak their own voice, I think everybody in this room needs to give themselves a pat on the back for doing what you've done. And that is just showing up and listening, because the skills and the tools that you will leave this room with may help you in the future, and hopefully you can help other people as well. Because it's like you said, knowledge. Knowledge is very important. It's very easy. It's free. That's another good thing. Education, we shouldn't be paying $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 to go through a course for 3 years. That's ridiculous. Then you have interest on it. Like, how are we supposed to pay that off when there's no jobs? There's no jobs being created because they're creating something called technological unemployment. And what that is where they're building machines to replace workers. Go into the grocery store, you'll notice it. Go into anywhere, you'll notice it. Whether it's retail, whether it's a factory, whether it's a business that somebody's running. They're building machines now to make jobs easier. There's even a YouTube video of a machine they've built where you put a blueprint in and a design and it'll build your home for you. It'll build a whole house for you better than a worker would, better than a team of workers, and faster. So that's what's coming into the play here. In the next 10 years, they're going to have machines that are building homes, that are doing everything for us, and then where are our jobs going to be? There's already severe layoffs happening. I've seen it. My wife just got laid off. Tons of people I know on this journey were saying, yeah, I've been laid off, now I got no money, I got to wait 4 weeks for EI, I have no money. Like, so what's happening is people are starting to get laid off now because of this technological unemployment and because of the economy, the planned economic collapse. That's all happening. They want to bring in one world currency. They want to crash the dollar, crash the euro, crash all this stuff, and bring in one currency for the whole world to use, so that it's the same people on the top of the pyramid, like we talked about earlier, that are all that money's going to them. And when they have one currency, it's going to be a lot easier for them. When they have one set of rules, it's going to be a lot easier for them. And the United Nations right now are working hard to get Agenda 21 going in, eugenics programs. They're trying to make one legal system for the whole world so that we all follow the same rules, so there's no differences. And that's just going to make it just like a shepherd, right? Or a farmer. He's going to be able to control the whole herd of cattle with one set of rules and one financial system, which is food and water. If we're going to keep paying for the things we need to survive each day, just like, I don't know, I don't think that's too intelligent. I would like to think that the human race is a lot smarter now, that we could say, whoa, like, we need water, we need food, we need shelter. If I don't have that, I'm going to die. And really, that's a human right violation. If you look it up, United Nations human rights, they have 30 mandatory, they're mandatory human rights that they've designed, that every human being is entitled on this entire planet. It doesn't matter where you live. And these 30 human rights include things like water, food, shelter, warmth, all the things I was telling you about. So why then do we not have these rights? Where did the rights get stolen from us? And I think back, and I remember the Fertile Crescent, when that was before Sumeria, before Egypt, before any of these giant kingdoms were built where kings and rulers were dominating over people and slaves did do the work and keep the kings rich. While the kings were drinking out of gold goblets, the workers were sweating and getting killed in the workforce. Well, that's what's happening today. It's just it's in modern time. But if you think about the time before that, before the Sumerian king list and all those kings and rulers that existed, before that, what were we doing? We were living with our families, we were having children, we were teaching our children how to grow their own food, we were teaching our children how to grow their own, build their own homes and work together and make a good community. And that's what we've lost. We've lost that sense of family, we've lost that sense of unity, we've lost that sense of love and compassion and just caring. And what for? For profit motives. And it's as simple as that. It's greed and it's profit motives. Yep, it is. It's like, I'm going to go to work, I'm going to make $500 this week, and then all my money is going to go back into those globalist pockets because I got to pay rent and I got to buy food and I got to buy water, I got to pay the hydro bill, I got to pay Rogers. Well, who's getting rich here? It's not us, and it's not fair. So I think that once we become aware of this and we actually do develop ideas and new systems that can overcome what's happening, that's what we need to do. We need to brainstorm and really think of ideas on how things could be better. And somebody along the line, whether it be Jacques Fresco and the resource-based economy from the Venus Project, or somebody along this line is going to figure out some good idea where human beings are going to agree with that and say, yeah, that makes sense. That is common sense. Because what is common sense? It's common. Everybody has it. And there is a lot of common sense out there that has been instilled within us. Like, it's common sense not to cross the road without looking both ways. Because why are you doing that? Because you're identifying the problem and you're solving the problem. Once you identify that problem, you can make the choice in your own mind to stay away from it so you don't get affected. It's like we're all walking on the railroad tracks right now, and we keep looking back, and there's a train coming. And that train ain't stopping. And there's a lot of us that don't care. They're just going to keep walking down the same track and get taken out by that train. But there's a lot of us, like in this room, where we know that train's coming. We could see it. And now it's time to react and get off the tracks and take that path. And I think that's where we're heading in the future. That's my personal opinion, and I hope I'm right. So, thanks guys for coming out, and let's build a wicked world that we can all live in. Not wicked bad, but awesome, loving, caring world, right?
So Mark said a few things. I wasn't going to do this, so he doesn't know I'm going to say this. And I hope I don't get in trouble for doing it. But I didn't know his wife was laid off. But what I do know is the guy's walking around Canada to stand up for your collective rights. So the guy's walked away from his income. His wife has no income. And yeah, little baby taxpayers at home.
I'm lucky that I have family and friends that love my family, because they're making sure that they're taking care of them when I'm gone. Like, they're not going to let them fall, you know what I mean? And that's why I left. If I knew that nobody would be there to help my family, I would never have left my house. But
Yeah.
like I said, I was sitting in the mirror and I'm not putting a Band-Aid over this.
So Mark stayed at my house last week when he was here, and he'll be staying at my house tonight. If anybody wants to, people can spin this politically all they want. God knows they're doing it to me right now, all over Facebook, because whatever, it is what it is.
They got nothing better.
Well, whatever, activists, typists, whatever. If you want to contribute to Mark, there's a cost to do it. Like, good God, man, I had to take the guy last week to Canadian Tire and exchange his shoes because there was holes in them. Like, the guy's walking around. If anybody wants to contribute to him, put your money where your mouth is tonight. Give him a few bucks, or go buy him some gift certificates to practical places that will help keep him fed. Get him a Canadian Tire gift card for his next set of shoes. Or get him some Tim's cards, because there's wireless there, and he can go there and it's like a little office for him, because there's friggin' Tim Hortons every 400 feet. Right? There's wireless, he needs that. Or Burger King coupons, or he doesn't want to go to McDonald's, I understand. Anything that's practical where there's a lot of stores. I'm not going to name names, but if you're hearing this in the room, or anywhere where you are, the guy's given up a lot to help the collective good. And he's doing it for Canada. And by extension, I mean, this message still applies in the States. If you want to get this guy anything, hand something to him tonight, or somebody, where's your big friggin' hat? Put some money in the hat or something. This guy needs money, man. It costs money for food and water. I mean, that's terrible to say.
I've denied donations already, lots of times.
I know you have, but you know what? It's time to we need to step up and look after the people that are trying to help us.
We need resources to do a campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the media is not covering you because they're paid off. God knows in Oshawa, they're paid about 10 grand a month to look the other way. And if you don't believe me, I can show you the records because I've looked at the city of Oshawa bank accounts. And they know that I know, and that's why the media won't cover my stuff either. Mark deserves some help. I've done my best to quietly help him. If you want to get money to him just to show that it's not partisan, do it tonight, hand it to him yourself. If you want to get it, Walter is a very, very good guy. Go to Brainfeed.ca, make a donation to Mark Howitt, and put it in the subject line, your donation, because it's PayPal and all that. Okay? Or if you need, I'm not going to give my address out because that'd be crazy over the internet. But if you want to go to barrydutton.com or barrydutton.ca, I can find and mail me something. I can get it to him. I always will get it to him. And that way you can get it to him or Walter, who has an online payment site, or through me. But just, or if there's a Mark Howitt in your city, help him out. Help her out. It's our job to look after one another. And like I said, we're not doing that good a job. And he's walked away from his family, employment, and his hometown to help the collective good. We should give back. It's just that simple. And I don't want to get in trouble.
I'll tell you that I'm not doing this for that. And like I have
We know.
to my name right now, and I still have to get to Ottawa. I'll worry about that tomorrow. I'll walk there or teleport.
So let us,
I'll figure out a way. But
we can help you
it's all
along
good.
the way. So I'm not
It's all
going to beg. It is what it is. You know how to get it to him if you feel led to do so. Thank you.
Thanks. So yeah, that was a good meeting. Nobody else has wants to say anything? Alrighty. Cool. Peace.